The Ohio State Buckeyes are 2-0 after a convincing victory against the Western Michigan Broncos yesterday at the Horseshoe. A lot of good came from that game, and we're excited to break it down this morning on our film review of the Buckeye Breakdown podcast.
We've got the whole crew together as we cover Ohio State with our instant analysis from Ohio State.
There's something that doesn't feel right.
Unbelievable effort from him today. Is E.J. Liddell going to crack the first team All Big Ten?
I think he can be the guy. I'm not trying to start a quarterback controversy.
He seems to have the durability. He certainly has the toughness. This is the question on a lot of people's minds here. Welcome to Buckeye Breakdown.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back in to another episode of the Buckeye Breakdown podcast. Myself, Anthony Moeglin, alongside Kevin Woidke here, doing something that we obviously love to do, the show we're most excited about to bring you on Sunday mornings, a little appetizer before the first week of the NFL football season kicks off. But we're going to take a look back at what happened last night at the Horseshoe when the Ohio State Buckeyes just totally dominated the Western Michigan Broncos from start to finish. And normally you wouldn't be excited about a performance like that, but in a day that was one of the most bizarre days of college football in a long time, with upsets between, obviously Notre Dame going down. A lot of teams were in dogfights that really shouldn't have been in. Ohio State took care of business and did so in a convincing fashion. Kevin, a good win, a nice victory. It's got to have the Buckeyes feeling good heading into what they're not calling a bye week. They're calling an improvement week.
Absolutely. I mean, those bye weeks are not fun. I'll tell you that much. There are a lot of full padded practices and getting after with each other. But yesterday was just a wild day in college football. And it started off phenomenal with the Texas win. Never thought I'd say those words. But super happy about that. Then followed it up with a Northern Illinois win that was amazing. Love that. Maybe more than the Texas win. And then Buckeyes handled business. That's kind of how it was. There's a lot of weird things that went on. I mean, Nebraska handled Colorado very easily. Penn State had a tough time with an Ohio school. Tell me if you've heard that before. And it's just, it was a weird day for college football. But
it's such an odd day in college football. And it's one of those that I thought about it consciously. I told you 100 times last week, like, why is Ohio State playing at 7:30? This stinks, like all this stuff. I was belly aching pretty hard. And we talked about it in our pregame, Kevin, that like, hey, they were probably able to use a little bit of what was going on throughout the landscape of college football to like make sure that stuff doesn't happen today. You have a really good opportunity to show the country that you mean business. And the thing you can do today, you can't win the national title on what was September 7th. But what you can do is beat Western Michigan and do it in a really convincing fashion. So obviously I was at the stadium. I was able to watch it in person and really see it. I had a couple thoughts, a couple takeaways from being there. But from your perspective, watching it from back home, what were some things that kind of stood out to you about this Ohio State team? Maybe some things we talked about leading up to the game, but also maybe some things that maybe caught your attention in either both a good or potentially negative way.
Absolutely. So, one thing that kind of caught my attention in a positive way was just kind of the energy all the way down to the sideline. Like, even on that Denzel Burke hit, I mean, Coach Day was amped, ready to go. He was hyping up the boys. I mean, that's just what it was. I think that they were really ready to get after it today. And I think they watched, the premier teams handle business. I mean, they watched Texas, they watched Georgia. They didn't stumble. I mean, those are two of the top teams. I mean, Alabama handled USF kind of, but it was a little bit tougher. I mean, it was just, I think that all the way from top to bottom, they were just ready to go, and you could see it through the TV.
And Kevin, to your point there, Coach Day talked about at the end how proud he was of the team as a whole. And you oftentimes see this a lot, especially with really good teams, when the second and third string guys get in. If the ones are still locked in on the game, you know how close that team is, because it's very easy to untie your shoes, kick your helmet off, whatever, take it off and kind of start chilling. Your job's done. But Coach David had even made comment of it that, hey, everyone stayed pretty locked in, and everyone was really invested in the entire football game, not just what they did. So that goes further to your point of, hey, this team had really good focus, really good energy from start to finish. And that's what you need. 60 minutes wasn't going to determine the outcome of the game, but you never know what's going to come down the road. You never know which one of those 2s or 3s are going to be playing meaningful football, come December, January, when the chips are down. So that's certainly a great observation. For me, it was the physicality. I was really excited to see how the team improved from week 1 to week 2. I said it 100 times last week, and I think you saw that. You saw a lot of really good efficiency from the offense and in really sharp play. But one of the things that just absolutely stood out to me, and you could feel it, you could hear it, was how physical the Buckeyes played, both up front and on the perimeter, man. There's going to be some clips we showed today, but I know that when they get into meetings here in about an hour and a half, they're going to be hooping and hollering, because there's some guys finishing blocks through the whistle, taking guys damn near into the stands to open up holes and to really, enforce their will and control the tempo of the game and really set the tone. So I'm excited from that standpoint, what they showed. And how does that, Kevin, in your perspective, impact the team's psyche when you see maybe a pancake, maybe a receiver laying out a safety or a corner, or you see a tackle finishing 15, 20 yards down the field? What does that do for everybody when you see stuff like that?
Oh, it's unreal, especially, you saw we'll see it later, but there's a G. Scott block where he just throws the guy out the club right into our sideline, and everyone goes crazy. And that's just what it is. You got to, when someone pancakes, like, I obviously go crazy for touchdowns, but it's just like imposing your will on somebody. It brings it out of everybody, whether it be a big hit by a defensive lineman, whether it be a pancake by an offensive lineman, whether it be a receiver running a guy down 15 yards and then landing on top of him. It's energizing. And that's the only way to describe it, as it gives you a little boost, like you just watch that pregame tape all over again and you're ready to go.
Yeah, it was so good and gets everybody excited, and everything's all connected. Now the energy's still high, like you talked about. Everyone's staying bought in because they have a chance maybe later on to make an impact play like that. So it's all connected, all exciting. A lot of good stuff. Physicality stood out to me. Efficiency in the offensive game plan stood out to me. The speed and the physicality of the defense is something that is going to become what we're going to become used to seeing. We shouldn't take it for granted, because that defense is absolutely incredible, and they showed it yesterday. And then the big play, we didn't see it too much in week 1 against Akron. Obviously, we pulled away at the end with some big shots, but I think the home run threat that this team imposes or has is something that's going to be very impactful, whether it be in the pass game with Jeremiah Smith, had another 70-yard touchdown, or the one that showed its face for the first time this year in the run game. Both Travion and Quinshon Judkins both making impact plays. Quinshon, a little bit more of that home run hitter, kind of the lightning to Travion's thunder, if you will. So it was exciting to see. And with that, we won't touch on what happened in college football as a whole. You guys can jump over to ESPN to watch that, but we'll jump right in here to the tape, man. This is what we love doing here for you guys, and we're excited to bring it to you here, and a lot of really good things to show from yesterday's game. So a really good handful of clips, and this is the first drive here. So if you remember the flow of the game, we come out. We kick off to Western Michigan, and it's a quick 3-and-out. Like, if you weren't sitting in your chair, you were filling up your drink or getting the bowl of chips ready, you're going to miss the Western Michigan's first 3 plays. They go 3-and-out really, really quick, punt it to Ohio State, and now it was time, in my opinion, for the Bucs to show that, hey, we got all those jitters out. We feel good. We're ready to go here for this one. So they come out in a set that we're going to come back to here, but something that Chip Kelly, I think, is very good at is getting to similar stuff in different ways. And you'll see this here. Stop me if this looks familiar later on, and we may have to reset our screen here if we get this load in here. But using motion out of a bunch set to get a little spread here, and then, what we're going to have to do here is see how good you are, Kevin, at wasting a little time, because I'm going to reset the screen.
Perfect.
But hey, this is Kevin. You know what this is? This is the beauty of live television, right? Like,
absolutely.
This is something you don't have. So what I did say was we were going to not talk about what happened in all of college football yesterday, But I think it was unbelievable. That Notre Dame game and them not being able to pull it out and being pretty sloppy coming off of one of the biggest wins in all of football last week, that was really, really shocking to see from South Bend.
Absolutely. I mean, I was sitting next to my buddy, Owen, who's a Notre Dame fan. Played JV golf too, but Owen wants to talk about that. He was not happy. I mean, that hurdle, I can't even think of the running back's name, was unbelievable for that touchdown, but then they just couldn't put him away. I don't know what happened. When I was at the Notre Dame game last year, I sat in like the booster section with a family friend of ours, and it's kind of like a Cleveland sports fan. That's the only way to describe it. They were like, when we were driving, we got the ball back after that screen. They were like, "Oh, we're going to lose this game." I'm like, "What are you guys talking about?" And then they did. It's got to be tough.
It was a tough showing. It was certainly a tough showing. We should be back and running right here, but there we go. Get a little bit going, and we'll see if we can't get this going smooth. Well, we may have to pivot. But so to get things started, we're going to use motion here at the top of our screen to just kind of spread everything out, get this defender in conflict, and then run this little curl route behind him with Jeremiah. You see here, maybe not. Maybe you don't see here.
One thing as it slowly plays in.
Yeah, if it slowly plays, let's see if we get it a little bit better from up here. Nope, it's not going to work. Oh, the beauty of live television.
It's all good. One thing I did want to touch on a little bit too was, that Texas game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the only way I'm going to describe it, was that Texas game. But I mean, they just looked like a competent, well-rounded team. I mean, Quinn Ewers has that offense thriving. I mean, that defense played well. And then, the other one to talk about was Colorado, Nebraska. I mean, I remember playing in Nebraska and we were blowing them out and they scored a touchdown and it sounded like they just tied the game. I couldn't imagine how much that stadium was rocking yesterday, just beating up on Colorado.
I've never seen that stadium be as packed as it was. And obviously, I wouldn't say I'm all tied in to Nebraska football, but that environment looked insane. And truthfully, you go back a week and, obviously all the hype surrounding the Buffaloes is pretty crazy just because of Dion and all that stuff. But, they just totally were unprepared, for that game. And it showed, they just kind of got thumped right from the start. And it was never really close, when they had the football.
I mean, balls were bouncing Nebraska's way, but I mean, the Cornhuskers at that stadium, and they're the nicest fans too. People don't realize that. Like they're at your throat. And then the minute the game ends, they're like, "Hey, good luck rest of the year." Even to our fans, my parents would talk about that when they were going to bars and stuff after the game. They're like, everyone was super nice, buying drinks, having a blast. They're just genuinely nice people that love the Cornhuskers.
You love that. So let's give this one more try here, and if we can get this going good. If not, we'll have to punt on this one, but we'll see if we can get it figured out here. So, all right, first play of the game, first drive of the game, using motion to create some separation, get some space, and find Jeremiah, who obviously Jeremiah Smith, that guy's one of a kind, right?
Mm-hmm.
We showed it again yesterday. He's 18 years old, and he just totally looks the part. Looks like he could be playing later this afternoon in one of these NFL games. But get a really nice completion to kind of get things rolling and get things started. And then you come back. I thought my prediction, if I was going to have to put one, was going to be a big Emeka Egbuka game, right? Like, this is the senior leader. Obviously, all the hype surrounding Jeremiah. But let's get Emeka going. And it looked like, he was part of the game plan early. This one's a fun one to kind of teach from Kev, because, normally we see in the RPO and in the RPO game and these read options that these quarterbacks are reading normally defensive ends.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you can do the double option or the triple option by throwing the football, and you get to read second and third level guys. So in this particular play, you got Will Howard reading this linebacker actually, and what his rules are is that if this linebacker gets any type of push towards the football, to rip one right behind his head to our slant. But if he stays back, you got advantage in the box. You got numbers in the box to run the football, and I think Will does a really nice job of executing here.
Absolutely. And then looking at the line play there, you got a lot of you got a really good counter play going there. You got the front side tackle, front side tight end doubling back that linebacker. You have the guard blocking back. You have the center blocking back on that backside guard. You have the backside tackle, gap seal hinging, and then those two guards pulled. And the first guy's job is kick it out. Second guy's job is to find color in the hole and clear it out. And they do a good job there.
And they do a good job. All of that was really good. That explanation was fantastic. But you know what we're gonna do, Kevin? We're not gonna make our fans have to sit through this and sit through the loading screen because apparently my internet connection is ready for NFL football this week. So apologies to everybody who waited around this. I feel horrible about it. We obviously love doing this type of stuff, but thank you kind of for jumping in. So Kevin, we'll give them at least something here because we got a couple fans with us right now. What in a bye week situation? You mentioned it being one of the worst weeks ever, and you're not wrong. It is really tough. And it's one that everybody hates. I was talking with Jack Sawyer last night in the media room, and he kind of laughed. He was like, "Yeah, man, it's not going to be a bye week. We're going to have a couple physical practices." And he was like, kind of like shivering a little bit. He was like, not really all that excited. What does that look like? They're going to go live a couple times this week, maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. What does a bye week or not improvement week, as they're calling it, look like for you?
I mean, yeah, they'll probably go live a couple days this week. Maybe go just shells the third day, and then they'll probably get the weekend to themselves. They'll be in there Friday, probably doing a workout, watching some film, watching some tape. It's going to be heavy. The first part of the week is going to be heavy internal, fixing what they've done wrong, and then the second part of the week will be focusing on the next challenge, which is Marshall. I think that the next bye week that we have is going to be maybe they might even be working on themselves throughout the whole week this week. I think the next one we have, they might be spending a little bit less time on themselves and more on the opponent following. But that's kind of what they do. They go through it. I mean, they got to keep their bodies conditioned to the contact that they're used to seeing on Saturdays. So you're going to see a lot of ones. You're going to see guys maybe the first day getting healed up, but usually this bye week comes in the middle of the season, so there's a lot more guys that need to be healed up.
So that's the point that I was going to make there. It's like when I played for 4 straight years, we had our bye week in week 2, and it always sucked because you get out of camp mode, like so you're in camp mode all of August, and then you play 2 games, and then you're kind of like back right into camp mode where it's like, all right, longer practices, more physical stuff. Kind of like you said, you do that self-scout, and it's hard to get a real legitimate self-scout in 2 football games. You're not really establishing what you're doing. You don't have tendencies yet. It's really early to be making any corrections or updates to what you're doing. So it's kind of challenging from that perspective. And like your bodies aren't beat up enough to need a bye week. It's like, yeah, they are beat up. You're like, shoot, like I could use this in 3 more weeks. But the nice part is Ohio State does have another bye week coming up later in the season, so they do get that little extra rest that's so important. But bye weeks are funny. The coaches, again, these coaches for this first month are going to be super on edge just because Ohio State doesn't play the best opponents. But we saw yesterday that anything can happen on any given Saturday. And the last thing you want to be, I'd rather have a tough coach on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday than a loss on Saturday.
Absolutely.
So, that's the mindset, kind of going in these next kind of like half a month here, right till you get through Marshall.
Right. Absolutely. And then, once they get through Marshall, they're hitting the ground running. They have a little bit of a gauntlet. And then October 12th, the greatest day in college football, we get to play a night game against the Ducks, which should be fun.
Hey, go out west, and don't know what's going on in Oregon. I don't think they're a bad team, but
no.
That's 2 weeks in a row. Idaho took them to the brink, and then Boise State took them, gave them everything that they wanted real late last night.
Absolutely. And there was a great catch, just to highlight that Boise State kid, or maybe it's the Washington State game. I don't know. By the end of the night, it got a little tired, got a little fuzzy, but there was some great ball that still happens. I miss those late night Pac-12 games, but it's nice to still have them. But now they're just Big 10 and Big 12 games.
Still got him. Well, definitely an exciting day in college football, and apologies to everybody today with the connection issues. But thank you for jumping in with us and hanging out with us as we talk a little bit about the landscape of college football. But we'll be back this week. Later on, just because it's a bye week for the Buckeyes doesn't mean it's going to be a bye week for us. So expect us at our normal times, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and then we'll continue bringing you all the content on this channel. So like and subscribe if you're enjoying what we're doing. If you prefer to read some stuff about what our team is putting out, head over to si.com/college/Ohio State and get all your written content over there. So for Kevin Woidke, I'm Anthony Moeglin. Sorry again, but appreciate you jumping in with us, and hope you have a great day watching some NFL football. And we'll be back later on this week on the Buckeye Breakdown Podcast.